Welcome back. This is Tribe Company Culture Academy, and I hope you've been enjoying this course so far. I know I've been enjoying creating this course for you guys. Now, this is the last video in the Boost Creativity and Profits, the Untold Power of Great Company Culture. And I hope you've been getting a lot of value so far. In this video, we're going to go a little bit more into the benefits as well. So since you've been watching this course, you probably have some desire to have great culture in your company. But as an added bonus, starting your culture model in a strong way kind of makes it easier to tweak things. And that's what we're going to explore over here, because it's not that you create your company culture model and you create your company culture frameworks and then that's it, and you never have to make any tweaks. And that's why having a culture model, a strong one, makes it easier to make those tweaks. Because if you don't have it, you're going to have all these knee-jerk reactions, or you'll be off the rails and there isn't much that you can do. So Jess and I have both been in organizations that didn't have well-defined values or company culture of any sort, and it shows in the decision making. I've sat on so many senior leadership teams. I've been presenting to boards, been part of the boards, like been in the huge strategic decision making areas of businesses. I've literally gone from junior copywriter to chief marketer in my career, and you notice these things in these companies where there's no proper culture frameworks embedded into the system, and a small problem can snowball and become this huge issue that then takes more time and resources and money, and especially in terms of trying to find a solution, a resolution. It can really drain the company. It can really drain the leaders who are trying to solve this problem. So when you are a leader in the company, whether you're a founder or you're a founding team or even the leadership team, you know what your existing standards are, and you can collect feedback and co-create that evolution of the culture with your workforce, which kind of makes sense, right? I mean, you are talking about people, human beings in relationships, and people and their relationships affect the culture and the decisions that go around them, and it affects all of the business practices as well. So talking about making tweaks and making changes in your company, if you are going to make a major change to an aspect of your business, for example, say changing the method of work for like remotely or hybrid or vice versa. And then it could be decisions around creating a new team to meet new business needs, for example, or introduce a new compensation structure in the company. So talking about this is all about change management, right? Within a business, this happens, and every business is going to experience it at some point and as they grow. So having an existing culture framework gives leaders an opportunity to handle the change of management in alignment with your values and your culture, right? So if you've never set up good culture frameworks, you've never set up the values of your business, now you don't have a guiding light, you don't have a way to go about it. So you're making decisions sporadically without alignment with your vision and your values and your culture that you set up. But if you do have it, then you're able to really see the nuances of the change that are happening and really make good decisions in areas that need attention right away. It helps you to acknowledge how these changes that you're creating within the company, these decisions that you're making as your business is evolving, how is it going to affect the people? And it'll help you. Having this culture framework, having these values and a framework noted down helps you to communicate why these things will be different from a cultural perspective. And how the culture won't change in spite of the new business developments, right? So these are the things that you get to communicate with your people, with your leaders. It's your job as a leader to be able to communicate this effectively to them and help them to, then through that communication, increase their psychological safety, increase their trust in your decision making, increase the trust in the vision that you're guiding them towards. And that's all very important. And that all stems from this great company culture frameworks that you use to kind of create these outputs. So for example, in No Rules, this is the book that details, the whole formation of the Netflix culture and how they went about it, and how Reed Hastings, who is the CEO of Netflix, had a different company prior to this called PureSoft, and did not have a great company culture, and how he brought intentionality in building a great company culture. But even though Netflix had a very clear idea, a clear framework of how they were defining their culture and how they're defining the values and how they wanted to attract the right kind of talent and retain the right kind of talent. This is an example that shows how they had to make a little tweak in some of their policies, in some of the ways that they communicated this to the employees as they were growing rapidly across the globe. So in the book Reed Hastings, he outlines a story about a blunder they had made developing their guidelines around employee spending. Since Netflix culture was all about freedom and responsibility, right? That was their main theme. If you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. And they didn't like to be prescriptive in the kinds of things like preferring to give more open direction. And they told employees to treat the company's money like their own money, right? That was kind of like the direction that they're given about employee spending budget. Now, they felt that this was a good general principle that would allow employees to act autonomously. It aligned with the whole freedom and responsibility value that they had, and they thought that it would give people good judgment. But what they hadn't accounted for was that employees have vastly different perspectives on spending their own money. Some are frugal and responsible, thrifty, some are big spenders. So you can probably imagine the accounting department was a bit shocked by how this ended up playing out. This was an oversight when they put this out there, and you can imagine the accountants going, what the heck is happening here? Some people are going outrageously and spending so much, and some people are being frugal, and they were trying to figure out the disparity in all of this. So they had to revise this to center on what Netflix considers good judgment, right? So this is the tweak in their communication, and they made the discretion a little less wide open. So this is a great example about how policies and guidelines sometimes need to be changed when the outcome doesn't work as intended, right? So Netflix still wanted to embody their cultural values, right? Important for them, they had cultural values right from the get-go. And mostly they wanted to embody their cultural values around trust and responsibility, freedom and responsibility. So they didn't kind of whiplash to a strict and detailed kind of policy document or something like that. But what they did is they adapted the language so that it was better understood by employees on how Netflix as a company expected them to behave when it comes to spending. So that change, that kind of little tweak that they did really helped people understand, okay, they're still acting from a place of trust and responsibility. They're still giving us the freedom and responsibility to act as adults, but they're giving us some direction in it. And these are the kind of tweaks when you have a pre-existing cultural framework and people have adopted it, it becomes so much easier to change, and especially becomes easier when you're at such a large scale like Netflix. But even if you're a company that has a few locations, or even if a small company with a few people, like 10 people or lower than that, having the framework will always help no matter what size of company you are, right? And that's what makes the difference. So all told, strong cultures create the opportunity for better innovation, as we've been talking about. It also creates opportunity for better customer service, better ability to hire your talent, to retain your talent. So most of a great culture model just means making informed and intentional decisions. I mean, that's the key here. Creating buy-in from the rest of your workforce and then infusing some accountability. This really helps when you have this structure and you have formulated and created, especially if you've done it from the get-go. A lot of founders, a lot of leaders don't put this into effect in the beginning. And that is where the erosion starts, right? And if you do have it in the beginning, that is where the immense compounding effects of that amazing culture model, that amazing culture framework, just keeps giving back to your company, because it's the chemistry within the company, it's the vibe within the company, it's the way people communicate with each other within the company. It just lives as an essence within the company, and you want that from the get-go. You don't want to be waiting till you're in high growth mode and then starting this. A culture model should be as integral to your business model as a marketing plan or your product roadmap, right? It is such an important piece of the puzzle within business that gets ignored but it's the thing that is a deep driver for your growth. This is the stuff that helps companies sustain decades and be in business for decades. Because the companies that don't have this, who do have a great marketing plan, who do have a great product roadmap plan, eventually end up failing because they did not have a good culture model in place within their business model. And that's what we're trying to teach you here, especially to the next generation of leaders, because you are the ones who are going to make a difference in the lives of all the people that you bring into your company. And those people are going to make a difference in the lives of the people they serve through the products you build, through the services you build, through the customer service, through the interactions with the customers, and the ripple effect of you as a leader building that right culture, building the right ethos within your company, building the right communication, the values, the leadership, the psychological safety, and everything else that's on our tribe company culture framework. People forget, and leaders forget that, yes, they concentrate a lot on their marketing plan and their sales plan and their product roadmap plan, but they're not realizing that people are running all of that. And people need culture. People like belonging to a tribe. They like having meaning and purpose in that tribe. So the moral of the story is that you just have to understand that your people are as, if not more important than your strategies, right? People are the life force of your business, and you as a leader are breathing life into that, into the communication, into the culture of the company. And because you can take the same business idea and give it to two different groups of people, a group with no real culture model and a group that does have a culture model, which group do you think is going to win at the end? When I ask this question out loud, people go, the answer is pretty obvious. It's the group that does have a cohesive culture. But it's you, the next generation of leaders, who can change this, because your decisions now, the things that you implement now within your culture, it's going to affect the people. It's going to affect your customers. It's going to affect the products and services. But imagine the impact of that 10 years from now. Imagine the impact of that if your company sustains multiple decades, right? So it's important to understand that your decisions as a leader, especially around your culture, for your tribe, your company is your tribe. That's going to have a huge impact on how your company grows, how people feel connected within your company, and how that affects the future of work. And this is the reason Tribe exists, because we do envision a world where leaders like you are transforming the workplace into thriving communities where people feel, proud to come to work. They feel fulfilled at work. They feel happy at work. They feel like they belong and they have purpose and they can make an impact. And this is the reason we have created something like this, so that we can influence and empower and inspire leaders like you to be the change of the future of work. We'd love for you to connect with us in our weekly sessions and our coaching calls, or whatever is available. So we'd love to see you there. Thank you for joining us on this course. There's so much more coming. There's so much more value going to be coming your way. And I cannot wait to share all of these insights. I truly am enjoying creating this course. I know how much of time Jess has spent on researching and putting together this whole course. She's a lead on the product and development of that. So that's it for this video. Thank you for listening in and going through this whole course. In the next video, Jess is going to be wrapping up course 1, and great job on getting here so far. So thank you, and we'll see you in one of our calls.